Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov. This week's Torah portion discusses sacrifices. And one of the sacrifices is the chatas, the sin offering. If one committed a sin, they would bring a sacrifice to atone for their sin. But here's something very interesting. The sin offering was only brought for unintentional sins. If one committed an intentional sin, they had to go through a process of teshuvah, of repentance, of atonement, of resolution, never to repeat that sin again, because after all, they intentionally sinned. But an offering of a chatas is for someone who committed an unintentional sin. As the commentaries explain, when you commit an unintentional sin, your body was engaged in the sin, but your soul, your mind, your heart was not involved in the sin. And therefore you bring in an animal sacrifice, because it's just the body that needs rectification for the sin, not the internal soul and heart and mind of the person. And today, without a sacrifice, we give of ourselves. We may give charity or do something that gives a sacrifice of time and effort to atone for that wrongdoing. But many would ask, why do I have to atone for a sin that was unintentional? It was not deliberate, so why am I held responsible? And in most people's minds, a sin is something that you did deliberately. Morality and spirituality is about your internal thoughts and feelings, not what you did physically. But the truth is, we know in life that we are responsible even for actions that were unintentional. And at a minimum, we have to feel regret that something negative occurred as a result of our actions. So it's not enough to say, well, I didn't mean to hurt your feelings. I didn't intend to do that. The fact is something negative occurred. And therefore, somebody was impacted negatively through you. And therefore, that requires a moral, spiritual accountability to at least make sure that you're more careful in the future not to repeat that sin. But think about it this way. Sometimes, not negative, but positive consequences result of our actions, unintended positive consequences. And surely when we discovered that something positive occurred as a result of our actions, even if they were unintended, we're more than happy to delight, take pride, get credit, and receive reward for unintended consequences. And we don't say, well, that wasn't my intentions, I don't deserve any appreciation or a recognition for it. We're more than happy to accept that sense of inner joy from our good deeds that have positive unintended consequences, as we should, because that means through us something good happened in this world, something positive. The world became a better place, we impacted others, and we should delight in good unintended consequences. But at the same time, we have to take responsibility for the negative unintended consequences. Hence, we have the sin offering for unintentional sins. We went to Israel about a month ago to visit hostages. It was a very moving trip. But one of the moving moments was not with the hostages. When we were walking with Scheiner, who was our person who took us to visit all the hostages. This is a man who devotes his life to helping others, especially after October 7th. And we were walking with bags of gifts and presents to bring to a particular family that we were visiting where a hostage had come home. And as we're walking through the streets of Petah Tikva to get to this home from where we parked our car, we ran into a bunch of teens coming home from school with their backpacks. And they immediately stopped and recognized us. Why? Because many of our meetings with the hostages revealed fascinating, inspiring new information. And the clips went viral in Israel, even onto TV stations. And these teens had seen us, and so they stopped in the middle of the street, a group of about 5 or 6 teenagers, 15, 16 years old, and they said, "Hi, it's so good to see you. We saw you on TV, what you're doing, kol hakavod." And we asked them, tell us, what does it make you feel when you see what we're doing? And I'll never forget, the first teenager said, it makes me proud to be part of a nation that cares so much about one another, that gives so much and embraces each other so lovingly. And then a second teenager answered that question by saying, it makes me want to be a better person. it makes me want to give more of myself when I see what you're doing. And that was so moving to me because it made me realize that every day we do things, we may not even be aware of who's watching, who's observing, who's being not only impacted directly, but indirectly by our good deeds. And therefore we should always think about the merit we have to be a positive influence in this world and impact others in ways that sometimes we'll never even know. But also make sure that we never do anything, even if it's unintentional, but be very, very careful never to cause harm, hurt, or offense to any single person. Let's always be a conduit for good and kindness and love in this world. Never be a cause of anything negative. Have a wonderful day.